All right, DNA Sports, episode 34. What do you want to open with? Camping? Hot dogs?
Yeah, you talked about that.
All right, yeah, so I just got back. Actually, yeah, this is a good story because it relates back into baseball. So I just got back from a camping trip, and me and Mikey over there, we met up with some of our good friends from Beloit. Now, Mikey didn't go to Beloit, but he knows a lot of the players there because he's come up to watch a lot of the games, so we've all got pretty tight-knit. And so we met for kind of a reunion of some of the seniors and juniors that graduated 2 years ago. We were a part of a championship class, and we met up. And you don't really realize how much you miss those guys until you see them again. So we had a blast. We went to a park in Wisconsin, Yellowstone State Lake Park, and we hung out. We had a few drinks. We played football in the pool. Hung out by the campfire, roasted some hot dogs over the fire, which was Mikey's highlight because he's been waiting to cook some food like that right over at an open fire. So it was a good time, had a lot of fun, shared some stories, reminisced a little bit, and it just goes to show what baseball can do for you when you build relationships with other people and you make lifelong friends. So yeah, that's what I just came off of.
Here.
It was a good high.
Love it. As Pat Fitzgerald, the coach of Northwestern, says, good, clean American fun.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Wisconsin?
Yeah, beginning of summer. We're in August 2018. When you guys watch this over and over again, you'll know this is from August of 2018. But in the beginning of summer, I got a call from a guy from outside Milwaukee. And his son was involved with the number one travel program in the state of Wisconsin, Hitters Wisconsin. And a lot of Illinois kids play for this Hitters Wisconsin. And the number 10 pick in the country, Kalenic, signed with the Mets. He's from that program. He did not even play high school baseball. Neither did this kid I'm going to talk about. He does not play high school baseball either because their season is not in the fall, in the spring like ours is. It's in the summer, and they have to make a choice: travel or high school. And usually, travel teams are better. So a lot of kids, most kids that are good pick travel. So this dad calls me. He's on this hitters team, this Wisconsin team, and his kid's not playing as much as he would like them. I guess the cost is exorbitant, and he happened to pick our name out. He did a search, and we came up pretty high, so he called me out of nowhere, and I said, you want to come down to Chicago? I can give you some help. And he comes down, and he had about 8 or 9 lessons, and he was played out of position. He's not a third baseman. He's a small kid. He's like 5'9", 5'8", 165 pounds. He's more of a middle infielder or center fielder, left fielder type, and a really good hitter. Above average arm, above average speed. And I don't know why a coach would belittle him unless he does not like the dad, because the dad is pretty heavy-handed. He's pretty, gung-ho about his kid being a star baseball player, given the fact that the dad did not play baseball himself. So he sent me off a text message, and I'll read it to you. And this is from the owner of Hitters. And when you're collecting a lot of money from a kid, I think you should be a little more marketing savvy, a little more politically correct, but he does not do this. Your son had plenty of time in practice and all spring to show he could play third base. He could not play. The rest of it is up to the coaches again. I told him 2 other guys are the best hitters, which is true. Just walking off and quitting shows he does not want to play, or you do not want him to play. It's that simple. Adam does not really want to play. You should see how he goes about his practice time. Also, he was horrible as he played in the spring. There is my response. Once people quit, they will always quit. That's pretty harsh. Mm-hmm. And whatever vendetta he had against the dad. He did not do the kid any favors at all, because the kid is good, and the kid did quit the team, and he was playing a little. He was doing really well when he got the chance, but kids feel pressure and stuff like that. So he said enough is enough. He traveled to I think Indianapolis or someplace like that and didn't play at all. So he said, "Why am I wasting my time with this? I've given it my best shot." They played him out of position. He said he had enough. But some other people had been watching him, and they asked him to play on this team. And the guy who runs the team, his son plays in the big leagues with the Tigers. And said, the dad called him up and said, "Could you do me a favor? Just put him on the team and see how he does." The kid's sensational. He hit phenomenally well for the team that he got asked to play. Over one weekend, they asked him back, and they asked him on the team for the fall and for the next coming year or so. And they had him playing in the right position. So it just really bothers me that people in charge, really, a lot of them don't know what they're doing, or they play favorites, and
Or they have their
it's a disservice to
their ego.
kids. And their ego, yeah.
Their ego's involved.
And when you're charging between $3,000 and $5,000 for each kid, I mean, like we said before, travel is a business, and at the expense of baseball, which will lead us to other stuff that we're going to talk about. Why baseball's getting boring. Why baseball in this country has deteriorated. The attendance is down 15% in the big leagues. So this is part of the problem. The poor teaching, or favoring kids without developing the kids right below them to be in the upper echelon. So we'll leave it. We'll turn it over to you, and it'll lead you into another subject.
Yeah. Well, first off, that coach, I mean, those words all just seem to go down the wrong way. I mean,
Right.
once a quitter, always a quitter. Like, that's a good way to talk about it.
That's the worst possible thing, and I don't know if I've ever.
Man,
I
really not
even
what
what happened this spring. On our team, we started out with 24 kids, and we ended up with 19. Now, 2 of them got thrown off because of school violations. One of them just quit. But I didn't say once a quitter, always a quitter. The kid chose that he was not playing, and he said, I've kind of lost my desire to play, and good luck with your team. He was pretty classy. And another kid just lost his mind because he didn't want to run. I checked some of his texts, and really, earlier in the year, he didn't want to run. He said, "What's the reason behind running?" Which he had really no business asking me.
mm-hmm.
But I said, we're trying to get in shape. Oh, okay. I thought it was some sort of punishment or something. So the kid didn't want to be punished, and there was a lot of things. And he was told that he wasn't going to play a lot, and he was going to get cut. And I did a favor to the captain and one of his other friends to keep him, and then he just turned because he didn't want to run, and he thought he should play more, even though I told him he was not capable of it. So he quit, and another kid had grade problems. So we had 5 kids that didn't end up with the season with us, that started the season with us. But I've never told a kid, once a quitter, always a quitter.
I mean, you're supposed to be a role model.
What kind of man are you?
Yeah, you're a role model here. You're not here to set the kid up for future failure by bringing him down.
I'm glad the kid didn't take it personally and said, "Hey, I'm gonna." He had a chip on his shoulder. Said, "I'm gonna prove to you that maybe he had it in him that he could play, but he didn't need to prove that anyway. The kid could really hit. He could hit all fields. He didn't strike out, and he had some power and new situational hitting. I mean, what more can you ask about a hitter? I mean, the kid's going to be a really good player. He's going to play in college, but for an adulted charge to try to, just bury a kid through words is just reprehensible. And you know what? He's not the only one. I'm sure
it's
it happens
happening all over.
Yeah, it happens all over, and it's just sickening, really.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Coaching is not really about you as a coach; it's about the players. So when you're saying things like that, I mean, you have your ego invested too much in this to be saying things to a teenager or to a teenager's dad about the teenager, saying, your son's a quitter. I mean,
you got to swallow your ego. What's that? You got to stop it at the front door, and no matter whether you like something or don't like something, you just have to just be really dispassionate and just see things and try to adjust and just coach and teach. Not let your ego, not let emotions, not let moods get involved.
Mm-hmm. And this kind of wraps in, like you were saying, I wanted to talk about, how the MLB games are being played. The value that they're bringing to the fans is going down. The way they're playing the game is just becoming boring. And I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about strikeouts exceeding the number of hits.
Right.
And if it happened overall this year, it'd be the first time.
That's earth-shattering, really.
Yeah, and I've been looking through this Bleacher Report article that Mike sent me yesterday. It was pretty long, but a lot of it was about the MLB greats. I mean, they're talking about the MLB being in trouble, and it's just funny hearing you talk about the kid that you helped from Wisconsin. You said he's a great hitter. He goes all fields, doesn't strike out a lot, no situational hitting. And those three things you're not seeing in the MLB anymore.
Well,
they're looking to hit home runs.
Yeah.
They're striking out a ton.
Yeah.
They're not hitting all fields. They're pulling the shit out of the ball, especially the power hitters.
Yeah.
If it's not a home run, it's a strikeout.
It's really boring.
And the thing is, now...
Don't you consider the Cubs manager a good manager?
Yeah.
Okay. So... the last 5 games, they've scored 1 run in each game, and every run's been a result of a home run.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy was so great, how about some alternatives? Like, they don't even bother anymore. They start saying, well, a bunt like to advance, that's wasting an out. What do you think strikeouts are?
Yeah, strikeouts are a waste too, because they're not changing their mindset like we always talk about with 2-strike hitting. If you put a ball in play, there's a chance to get on base.
How many times have you seen...
You're swinging for the fence with 2 strikes.
Bunts blown in the big leagues. You know why? Because they don't even practice it anymore because of your observation and my observation and Mike's observation that home run or nothing. That's it. Okay. Well, maybe get a couple walks, and everybody, the nerds out there, and the WAR, and all the analytics, he's a really good player because his on base percentage. When do they get on base? I mean, they have stats for everything, but they have stats for that too. But how about a walk and a bunt and a base hit? There's your run, Cubs.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in a bad slump. Why don't you? Hey, you get a leadoff guy on instead of trying to hit a 2-run homer. Hey, we're in a slump. Put the bunt down. Maybe the guy will throw it away. Now you have an inning. So, it's like, why not hit and run? Well, the guy at first base isn't fast. Well, that's the reason you hit and run and not straight steal. I mean, this is baseball 101.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. So they're starting to follow so many stats, and stats do tell a story, I agree. So now all of these managers and teams and ball clubs in general are following stats, and, they're looking for the home run swing. They're talking about launch angle. They're talking about home runs, and so obviously strikeouts are going to happen more if you're swinging that hard for the fences. But I feel like they're not putting together, the causation of everything. Why doesn't hit and run work? Why doesn't bunting work? To your point, they're not practicing it.
No.
They're not executing. I think it would be easier to bunt the 95-mile-an-hour pitch than it is to hit one.
Yeah, because you have to square around and use 2 eyes.
Yeah, or to just, ease up and put a good top hand on a ball and hit a ground ball. That's probably easier than lifting one out of the park.
Hell yes.
But, it's not being practiced. So, yeah, hit and runs exiting the game because they're focusing on home runs. So I feel like the whole story isn't being told with these analytics too. And now,
Right.
even a good manager like Madden, for example, they're following what they're telling them to do almost to a T, where they should have a little bit more freedom and a little bit flexibility with some of these players and try different shit. I mean,
the White Sox just drafted this guy from Oregon State. In the first 100 bats, he's had 3 strikeouts. And he's trying to put the ball in play. Well,
Yeah.
what's he hitting? He's hitting around 350.
Mm-hmm.
It's single A. He just came from, Oregon State where he was player of the year, or I think he was player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put the ball in play, a lot of good things can happen. Errors. You can find a hole. You can hit one out of the park. You can find a gap. You can find a line.
And the other thing is too, how do you tailor these players to all of a sudden think differently? They got drafted because they got a power swing. They got drafted because they can hit home runs. Now they're in the MLB. They think they got to hit home runs. They're taking these big cuts. And now you're just going to tell one of
How many home run hitters do you need in the lineup?
Exactly. But now you're going to tell one of these high play players, don't worry about hitting a home run, which they shouldn't, because if you square the ball up, that thing's going to go out of the park.
Well,
These guys are huge.
Yes, they're huge.
But it's their mentality, like we talked, their mentality, their ego. But it's rolling down to youth sports. That's kind of how I wanted to relate it too.
But it's also bad viewing.
Yeah, it is.
You've gone to 2 games this year. 1 for work, 2 for pleasure. Mike's gone 1 and 2. I've gone to 2. 1 was a work. So I've gone to 1 game for pleasure. I went for work at the end of the year with my boss. So
yeah, just in this article alone, they're saying they're striking out more than they're getting hits in this month of August, especially. They're talking about there's over 3 minutes where a ball isn't put in play or something along those lines. The stolen base attempt is down to 1.37 attempts per game, which is the second lowest since 1964 or something.
they don't work at that.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing, though. I'll say this, right?
Well, the catcher's got a gun. Well, get a better jump. You're not stealing on the catcher anyway. You're stealing on the pitcher. The pitcher's 1-4 to home.
And this
He's
is
slow.
Yeah, I was kind of in the midst of writing a blog about this today. I understand some stats, right? I understand some of them. But to follow everything to a T is a little ridiculous. But with the stolen base thing, in relation to youth sports, to the MLB, your kids are starting to focus on other things like, my launch angle's got to be better. No, you want to be better, you want to get more wins today, figure out how to advance to the next base. Figure out how to take advantage of the other team's flaws. Because here's the thing, a pitcher might throw 95 in the MLB. They might have a quick time to the plate. The catcher might have a great pop time. He might throw the ball 95 down to second. So yeah, it's going to be a little hard to steal if you're not extraordinary in the MLB. But is every player in high school and every player in college throwing 95?
No.
Are all of the catchers extraordinary? Do all the pitchers have great times at a plate?
No.
No. So that means you could be helping your team win by learning how to take the next base, by getting a good jump, reading pitchers' tendencies, understanding balls in the dirt, understanding these different aspects of the game, because reality is 1% or less from college go to the MLB or go to the pros, not even the MLB, and less than that from high school.
An MLB, if you had
so it's just a different dynamic.
But if you have a manager that says, okay, sometimes you're going to get thrown out, but if you have all these pop times that are great and the pitcher's quick to home plate, that's why you hit and run.
Yeah, that's why you do different things.
That's why maybe you delay steal, in which we work on in high school, and I still think they do a little in college. They don't do any of that. It's a boring product, and you know what? It comes from the travel stuff. They go on weekends. They want to be seen. They're not going to do any of that stuff. They just try to hit home runs. There's no team concept. There's no team philosophy. They're all brought together. They try to throw their arms, show their arms. They throw them out. They're burned out by the end of the summer, most of them. And everybody's trying to hit a home run to impress the scouts and impress the. And you know what? It permeates to the high school game, to the college game, and then if these guys are lucky enough to make it, their habits are the same that what we're seeing now. Yeah. It's a bad product.
And their mindset is the worst because it's not that of a good teammate. And so that's kind of where I'm going. I mean, this is all rolling down from the MLB down to this. You have these travel teams and these me players because this is what they're being groomed to be.
And that's why they start with the launch angle.
That's why they're working on the home run swing. That's why they don't know what a hit and run is.
And again, we've said, and we've been doing, this is our 34th or 35th podcast, and we've said all along that launch angle is not new. It's like a slight uppercut. Try looking at Ted Williams' articles and his swing. A slight uppercut. Of course, he never struck out either.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, those guys don't realize, the launch angle people don't realize that Ted Williams didn't strike out much.
He was able to battle adversity throughout his
DiMaggio, when he was in the 40, he didn't strike out much. Willie Mays, he didn't strike out like these guys are striking out. If you struck out more than 100 times, that was an embarrassment. Mm-hmm. Even Mickey Mantle who was a striker, he struck out a lot, but he had years that he struck out under 100 times. And he tried to hit a home run every time up. So the way it's being taught today has to change. It's starting with MLB and stop letting travel teams, youth teams do what MLB does, because you're not 6'5" and 250 pounds, or you don't have like super quick wrists. You got to do things the right way, starting the right way. I don't know how it's going to get back to that, because unless people just stop coming to MLB games, and then they'll say, "Oh, we got to do something different."
Yeah, and that's my point too. It's like, all right, you're in high school right now. Given the stats, given the real stats, the numbers of who is actually going to play in the minors, or even better, the MLB, the stats are so low for that. It's a dime a dozen. You're talking about the best baseball players in the whole world.
How many guys on your team hit the ball out of a park when there was a fence this year?
What do you mean in terms of
a home run?
Like Hensley? Or
no,
College or
Juarez?
None.
Okay, how many did my team hit out?
None.
Okay,
there's two teams right there.
Yeah, I mean, so why would we do all this stuff? Why wouldn't we just try to have baseball the way it should be played, and hit and run, stealing,
even at the college level,
bunting,
how many guys at the college level are
just make contact, don't strike out, understanding what the pitcher's throwing and how he's trying to get you out, the right approach, everything, but not, okay, we're just going to try to hit a home run, even though none of us hit the ball over the fence, not only this year, but last year. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember the last time we hit the ball over the fence. Yeah. So, and the fences aren't that deep. They just can't do it. This isn't California, Texas, Arizona, Florida, the bastions of baseball. I mean,
and that's the thing, though. If
it's not
so little kids with that ability to have such power, and then you have everyone just tricked into thinking that
watch Little League. Watch Little League. They're trying to hit the ball over those 200-foot fences. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And and these kids that look like they're 15 years old playing. One kid from Spain's like 6'3" and 250 pounds. What did they feed him there?
Yeah, he's huge. But I don't know. It's going down the wrong path, and I know we could go on that topic forever, but I just think...
Well, the entertainment value, not only in baseball, but basketball, football. Now, you can't tackle the right way.
They're calling flags on everything.
I mean, you can tackle, you can't lead with the crown of your helmet. Okay, I get it, but then, they're trying to make guys less concussed. Why don't you have a good drug program so all these guys that are 350 pounds should be 280?
Yeah.
Why don't you try that first? And basketball, everybody's just jacking threes. That's not a good product either. You have the Houston Rockets and Golden State. They don't even shoot any twos anymore. Mm-hmm. There's no inside game. Is that fun? It should be an inside-out game. There should be diversity in your game. It's not fun. It's just like trying to hit a home run or trying to strike out everybody. We're trying to hit it. We'll shoot 53s and try to make 20 of them.
That's another thing too with pitching. The the average length is 5.1 innings for a starter.
I just don't get it. I grew up in an era where, hey, you got the ball, you wanted to finish the game, 9 innings. Okay. Well, we're paying this guy $10 million. Okay, Wade Davis. We're paying Wade Davis $13 million a year for 4 years to save games. So we're going to bring him in, even though the pitcher's rolling. What? Just let if you would overuse your bullpen wouldn't go south the last part of the year. If your pitcher pitches 9 innings, so what?
Yeah.
I mean, how many complete games in the big leagues are there this year? I bet you it's less than 10.
It's bad, yeah. I forget what the number was, but it's low. It's low compared to our past. Even as recent as 2008.
They were talking about when Denny McClain won 31 games. I think he finished 26 games.
Jeez. Well, you got more balls in play, less pitches.
Yeah.
You don't have everyone swinging and missing.
Yeah. I mean, what's the shelf life of a pitcher anyway?
I don't know. I gotta imagine it's lower now, though.
They start freaking out
they're going for strikeouts. They're throwing 99.
I mean, you start getting worried at 75 pitches. I'd love to see some pitch counts back in the late 50s or in the 60s and the early 70s about when these guys were studs. And they lasted a long time. And they said the only way our arm's going to get better is by throwing a lot. Yeah. Oh, really? Long toss, have bullpens, not when you have a little owie. Pitching's an unnatural motion. You're going to have some discomfort. You're going to have some soreness. There's a difference between soreness and injury, or outright pain. So that's what the trainers are there for. And, with all this advanced technology and advanced medicine, wouldn't you think that they'd be able to throw more into this instead of throwing less? Mm-hmm. Well, we found out that, you're going to hurt yourself if you go this. That's garbage.
And that's the thing, too. Everyone's always concerned with prevention. How about just revolutionizing the game so that we can go longer and better? Even with football.
Yeah.
It's all prevention. Why aren't we just figuring out ways to let them play?
Yeah. So
better equipment.
Better equipment. Better.
There's got to be better ways for things to be done, but that's the whole society, though. Even you go to the doctor, they diagnose you, but they don't give you the true reason. I mean,
but
here's a pill.
Right.
It's always like that. It's here's a Band-Aid for it.
Right.
We're not going to fix the problem.
But football-wise, do you really enjoy watching toward the end of the year second and third stringers play?
Yes, everyone's hurt.
Everybody's hurt. I remember when the Bears won in '63. And these are guys that smoked at halftime, smoked after the game. Nobody was over 285 pounds. That was Doug Atkins, who was the right end. Nobody was at 300. But they played the whole year. And and they played dirty. And you didn't hear a lot of this guy's got an ACL. Nobody had ACLs. Yeah. Gale Sayers was the first, and he was a great running back for the Bears and scored 22 touchdowns his rookie year. Just a sensational player, and he got caught the wrong way on it.
I mean, I'll say this though, the difference between the players now is just their mass, their pure mass of the muscle mass. I think that's taking.
What is that from?
I think that's taking a toll on ACLs too.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's pure competition.
Is that natural?
It's very simple though. If we're both running backs and I'm 190, muscle, you're 220 muscle.
You're going bye bye.
And we're the same speed. I'm thinking I need to be 220, right?
That's right.
So everyone's trying to be now. It's competition.
But you don't hear anything about.
But that's taking a toll for sure.
Yeah, you don't hear anything about football players getting suspended for HGH or steroids, but they're massive.
But now they're making.
But you see when these guys retire, all these Bears that retire, they lose 50 pounds right away. What? It's not because they've stopped eating; they stopped taking drugs.
You're probably working out as much too, but
right.
When you're making a cut on your knee, going from left to right at 190, 200 versus 220, 230. That's a big difference. You're talking 30 pounds on your ACL, like in terms of pressure that you're putting.
But why?
So now, I mean, all these people.
Why are there ACL injuries when back in the day you didn't even hear of ACL?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. People
you heard of a bad knee.
The muscle mass is too much for people, but they're all getting bigger.
But
and faster.
Shouldn't you find a way to lift that you don't tear your ACLs?
Yeah.
Like I've heard that hip density is a key factor whether you tear an ACL or not. Especially that's why the women whose hips aren't as dense as men tear more ACLs in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But once you have some sort of an advanced sports medicine guy say, look, this is the way to help prevent ACLs and MCLs. There has to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a better answer, but what else you got? Anything? Are we wrapping up?
We've been jabbering a lot today, but I think it's good, and I want to talk about John Smoltz ripping on travel parents, but that'll be for next episode.
All right, sounds good.
That was at his Hall of Fame speech, and it's a very good way, and it backs us up with what we were saying a long time. So it validates what we've been saying. So it's a great article. Not that we like that people agree with us, but we do like it.
All right, see you guys next time.
Thanks.